welcome back to another episode of the One Tree Hill Rewatch here on the Filmaholic channel. I'm going to be talking about 2 episodes in Season 6 today, and that's 613 and 614. So to kick things off, I'm going to talk about 613, which is called Things a Mama Don't Know. Now this is the mid-season premiere of Season 6, takes us into the second half of Season 6, and the second half of Season 6 is pretty big for obvious reasons, what we get to at the end of Season 6 with certain characters. So this episode aired January 5th, 2009, so they had an early mid-season premiere here. Usually, it's not until more towards, at least, usually about the middle of January, I would say. I don't know, maybe a little bit before that, but it just seems like this is like right after New Year. So it's pretty early, and it was directed by Michael J. Leon and written by Karen Gist. First of 4 episodes that she wrote on the show, and she also writes episodes in 6 and 7, I believe. She's also a producer, something I noticed watching this season, seeing that she was also a producer on the show, which is really cool. The main thing about this episode is Brooke finding Sam. Sam is with Jack and Xavier, the creep / murderer. They know that she's told Brooke about the artwork, so Xavier's pretty much afraid that she's also admitted that he's the one who attacked her. So he's like, I don't know what his exact plan is, but he's not letting her leave. He doesn't want Jack to leave either, but throughout the episode they end up escaping what Jack does. And this stupid character doesn't let Sam go first and get out the window. Instead, he crawls out the window himself. Sam gets trapped inside, and Xavier comes back, tapes her mouth shut, and puts her in the closet. And then Jack goes to get help, but doesn't go to the police, he goes to Julian, which we'll get to that in a second, which is cool, and brings Julian into the mix and the storyline. But like I said, don't like either of those characters. Really, I think they both suck. Xavier and his brother, Jack. Played by Evan Peters. This is the first exposure I had to him. But so Brooke's trying to find Sam in this episode. She goes to the police too, who obviously are no help at all and just jokes in this Tree Hill. And the other thing that's happening is the episode opens. The first scene is pretty much as Peyton calling Lucas and reveals she doesn't actually have cancer. Instead, she's pregnant, which is going to be their major thing. Other than the movie that's happening, their major thing going through the rest of the season is the fact that she's pregnant. There's more to it than that. We find out, obviously, the reason she had those pains and whatnot. But in the last in a couple episodes ago, but she is pregnant, which I thought was really cool because I remember I think it was a commentary on this, or maybe an interview or something, where they didn't actually have it written how she was going to tell Lucas that she was pregnant. It was actually up to Hillary Burton to make that decision, how she was going to tell Lucas, and the words that she would use. And I thought that was really cool. Being able to be with these characters for this long, and then them being able to make a decision like that big of like, hey, how are you going to tell your partner that you're having a baby? I thought that was cool. So that's how the episode starts off. And then she's also Haley kind of finds out through different people in this episode. She finds out through Peyton, but Peyton doesn't confirm it, and that's not until the next episode. Haley gets confirmation from Lucas, but same thing with Brooke. She tells Brooke in the next episode she's pregnant, but not in this episode. She's trying to keep it to herself. And Lucas, on the other hand, he's about to come home, but then he's summoned to Oz, as Julian calls it. He has to go talk to the head of the studio because of the director fiasco in the last episode, which turns out the head of the studio is actually Julian's dad, played by Gregory Harrison, who I actually met as well at the end of season 7. I'll talk about that when we get there. But so Lucas is spending this episode talking to him, and he's pretty much wants Julian off the movie. But Lucas ends up having to take a stand and say, hey, no, I do think Julian knows how to make this movie, and I do want him to be a part of it. Which is interesting because he hasn't really liked Julian up until this point, and now he's having to see like kind of Julian's backstory of his father. So we got that going on with Lucas, and then he does come home at the end of the episode, and he's with Peyton, and that's a nice moment. Also, Haley says she calls dibs on Godmother in this episode, which doesn't end up happening if at the end of the season, Peyton does make Brooke the godmother of the baby. So that's interesting. And I don't think we ever get who the Godfather is, but maybe I'm wrong. I would assume it would be Nathan, but I'm not. I don't think there's any confirmation of that. Nathan also, he gets the phone call. He's part of the Charleston Chiefs now. He joins the team. So this episode is him going to Charleston and starting practice with the team. And from right off the bat, he's having issues. Someone's giving him problems. Davon is the character's name, which is interesting because the same actor who plays this character also played a ref in season 1. It was the episode where Lucas and Nathan get kicked out of the game because they get into a fight in an away game, and Whitey makes them walk home, which is a really good episode. But the ref in that one he plays this character, and this character has a little arc in this season. I'm trying to think of how many episodes he's in, but it's a handful at least that he's in this season. And obviously it starts off as somebody who's a rival to Nathan, and by the end of it, they make him somewhat likable. I don't know. I really wasn't a fan that he tore up Nathan's pictures. He did leave Jamie's picture up, but still, he threw Haley's picture on the ground. That would have did it for me. But they also switch. Nathan actually has the number 15 in this episode, but he asked to change it to 12 in the end because Jamie had mentioned in the last episode that he thought Nathan should wear the number 12 in the NBA because instead of 23. Because Devon actually has the number 23 on the Charleston Chiefs, so that's why he doesn't have the number 23 on this team. But the real reason behind that, I'm not sure all of the details, so you can look it up, but actually there was a big fan in real life. I think her number was 12, and she passed away, and she was a big fan of Nathan, so they dedicated that and gave her number to Nathan in the show. So that he ended up becoming number 12. I thought, and that's really cool. That's awesome. Julian, like I said, Evan Peters goes to him, his character Jack, and wants help. So Julian had talked to Brooke earlier in the episode and was going to keep an eye out for Jack because of their little conversation. And in that conversation too, Peyton said that she saw a side of him, not a guy that she used to know. But this goes back to characters like jumping to conclusions and everything. Like, what has Julian done that's really bad so far in the show, other than kind of being sneaky, I guess, about coming to town and not being upfront about things? I don't know. Anyways, so then Julian and Jack end up going to Xavier's house. But before this happens, Brooke goes there with the help of Haley getting the address for Jack, goes to this house and has a conversation with X. Dude's super creepy. And I don't know if it's fully it's just how this character is written, or if the actor is bad, or no offense, I guess, to the actor. It's just I don't know how the character was written, but it's awful. He does come off as creepy. It works to an extent in this episode of him just being creepy, but then you see when he comes back in season 9, unfortunately, and he plays the character the same way, but it doesn't work for me. It's just it comes across as just awkward and bad. I'm not a fan of it, but of the whole character in general, but I don't know. This doesn't work for me. But she has a scene with him, and as she's leaving, he says, "Have a nice night," and she has a flashback and remembers that the guy who attacked her also said the same thing. So she starts banging on the door. He opens it. She pepper sprays him and starts kicking him, and runs to the house to find Sam. She finds Sam. But as she finds Sam and starts helping her out of the closet, she's attacked by Xavier, and there's a scuffle through the house, and there's this awesome scene where he's got her by the legs, he's coming up, and he's like, you're going to run away or whatever, and she pulls the gun and puts it in his face and says, "No, I think I'm going to stay a while." One of my favorite Brooke scenes. I love that, just how she's like, "Nah, not running from you," and just then the positions are switched and she stands up and has the gun. Personally, if I had written it, I would probably had her kill him. I would have liked to have seen that, her kill the character, especially because that means we wouldn't get him back again. But I would do that in a lot of situations, and I guess really what they're very careful about that, and it makes sense of what characters would actually kill other characters, because that killing someone like that would be a big change to that character moving forward. And I guess that's why they didn't have Peyton do it to Psycho Derek in season 4, and why they ultimately didn't have Brooke do it to Xavier in season 6. They should have had it definitely do it in season 9 though, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But Dan's character, when he makes those decisions, obviously that his character would do it. And there's another character, actually another two characters that do have to kill somebody later on in the show. And we'll talk about that when we get there. But she doesn't do it. She thinks about it, but doesn't do it. And then Sam calls her mom, and she hits him in the head with a gun, which at least we get that. And then Julian shows up with Jack, too, in that moment, and they're all there. And then as they're leaving the house at the end, you also find out that the cops find out when they find Quentin's wallet that he was also the one who killed Quentin. Although we find out in season 9 that's never actually proven. There was no evidence that he killed Quentin. He never admitted to that. That he just happened to have the wallet. I don't know how it's explained, but he only gets charged for the stuff with Brooke, the assault and whatnot. He never gets charged for Quentin's death, unfortunately. Chase comes back in this episode. We don't know where he's been or really what he does, but he comes back, and Peyton calls him because Owen's drinking at the bar on the job. And Chase tells Owen he needs to go back to rehab, and he does. And this is Owen's last episode until season 7 when he comes back for an episode. But this is Chase's return to Tree Hill, pretty much for the rest of the series. Makes no sense how he just tells Owen that I'll take, you don't have to stay here. I can take over for the bar for you. I don't really know if they know how jobs work. Chase didn't apply. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know who technically runs Trick. Kieran owns Trick. Is there a manager? We don't ever see one. Does Lucas just technically own it? I don't know. But anyways, Chase comes in, and he's the new bartender, and Owen's out. But that's the big things. And really, the Brooke Showdown is the big point of this episode. And then that takes us into the next episode, which is 6:14. A Hand to Take Hold of the Scene. And this episode aired January 12th, 2009, was written by Mike Daniels and directed by Chad Michael Murray. This is Chad's first episode and only episode as a director on the show. He did a fine job. This is not a big episode. Honestly, I wrote here in my notes that it's not a bad episode. I liked it, but it was for the most part a filler episode. And you get several of those, even though they do move the storyline along to a degree. I mean, I'm trying to think here. Really, he got some Brooke and Julian stuff in Mouth and Millie, and that's really how the story moves along. What the episode does for the story as far as them. But there's at least a handful of filler episodes in this season. They're not necessarily bad, though. Not like season 8, which is a filler season, I would say, for the most part. But the big thing about this episode is, two things. One, you have the double date going on because Chase is into Mia, Mia's into Chase, I guess, and they're going on a date, and then so Nathan and Haley go on a double date with them, so you have that as part of the episode, which is fun to see. Like, it's a good filler episode, like I said. You have that going on. You also have Lucas and Peyton. They are babysitting Jamie and Andre, so that's fun little moments. Her being pregnant too, and him going to get her ice cream. And then you also have the more important thing, which is the Brooke and Julian relationship, which is fully started in this episode. We've already seen glimpses and building on that, but they are on a business date sort of in this episode. It's a business meeting, but they both end up wanting it to be a date, and they end up start kissing at the end of the episode, which leads into their relationship further on into this season. And that's the most important things, I would say. And getting to see the start of that. And you also have the Mouth and Millicent stuff, which is pretty much the end of their relationship for a while. They call it quits. She's trying to get Mouth back, but then it gets drunk, and then ultimately she makes the decision to move out and move back to New York at the end of this episode. And then you also have the stuff with Sam and Jack, which I really like Sam and Brooke. Like, I like their stuff and their relationship on the show. And Sam in general is a good character. I actually think I wish they'd kept her in it longer. But like I said, I'm not a fan of Jack. And then just having to spend so much time on them. And if this was the only time and like his last episode and you just had that relationship and wrapped it up. But you do bring him back for like at least 3 or more episodes or so. I can't remember how many more episodes you have with him before he finally is out of the picture. It's like literally, I think, right before she's out of the picture. So that's unfortunate. But that's the main things about this one. It's like I said, it's fun. Chad did a good job. It's a nice filler one. The next episode, I haven't rewatched yet. We're gonna do that today. I want to say it's sort of filler too for the most part, but there's also stuff with basketball and Nathan that does move the storyline along a little bit, but it's not a huge episode. So there's like a little, they sprinkle in some filler ones here until we get to like definitely 17 and 18 in this season, and those are big episodes. And then obviously the last two of the season are huge. So decided to jump into all of this. Next episode we get Dan back too. He's been gone for. Last time we saw him was 6/11, but that was a dream. So the last time we actually saw Dan was 6/09. So and we don't see him again until 6/15, unfortunately. So I'm excited to see him back. But yeah, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time.